All right, here it is, the match review for Laurence McKenna's channel on LFC. LFC win against Aston Villa at home, so, let's not get too excited, guys, but still, winning against Aston Villa is a pretty good thing to do this season, especially a team that are pushing very much for the top four. But who is pushing for the top four? Who's not? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, the point is, this was a game that was a potential stumbling block for Liverpool. This was a game where after the City loss, which was very late, impressive from Brighton, by the way, but also very late, it shows that the order of games in the season, playing teams at the right time, having sides, and also just having opponents that you are playing in a moment when they're not having such a good moment, or they've not quite worked things out, or whatever else it is you want to level at those guys, is really important. And I think Liverpool have, frankly, played Villa at just the right time. I also think, in all of the happiness and all of the praise that every other channel is putting onto Liverpool at the moment, because let's face it, they're not watching the Liverpool games, they're watching the highlights and they're bringing you some headlines to make you think that you really care about what they have to say. Anyway, the point is, Liverpool got away with a couple in this game. And I think in these kind of games, you've got to acknowledge that. You've got to acknowledge, whoa, guys, Kelleher made some pretty good saves in there. There are a couple of corners where we kind of got away with it. And I think the frustration for Liverpool will be that I think Villa and the Liverpool backroom staff will know there could have been a different end to this game. There could have been a different end at 1-0. There could have been a different end even after Liverpool scored their second, but I think the second really put them away. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Liverpool's goals. We'll just go straight with the big headlines at the top, and then we'll talk about the way that Liverpool played afterwards. First one, Darwin. If Darwin Núñez finished all the chances, or a majority of the chances that we think he should put away, Mo Salah would far and away be the most efficient chance maker in Premier League history. Trent Alexander-Arnold, it wouldn't even be a conversation as to who's the best supportive right back. Even Andy Robertson. There were so many chances in this game where Liverpool should have put it away. Weirdly, our XG was relatively close to theirs, but there were so many chances that Núñez should have put away in this game that there are a lot of times where I thought, is that going to cost us today? But that first goal, the most unlikely of finishes, is always the goal that Núñez gets. By the way, it was a foul on Salah. I don't understand why the referee's waving that one away. I think he means play on, but it is what it is. He took it, but not even around the goalkeeper. He just took it. He sort of took himself wide and then finished from wide beautifully, lofting it over what some people are calling the best goalkeeper in the world. He's not. He's just not. But it put Liverpool 1-0 up. Satisfaction. We get the feeling that Núñez is alluding to the fact there is a baby on the way. At least that's what I would take from that celebration. Or he's saying someone just had a really big meal. My point is, Liverpool looked dominant from so many different moments. And I actually think Slot kind of made this point in his post-match press conference, right? He said, I think we dominated them more than people are going to, or we were more dominant than people are going to give us credit for. And I agree with that. I also think they couldn't live with our press. It felt similar to the AC Milan game with me, where we knew there was quality, we knew that they would create counter-attacking chances, but most of the time when they were just playing long ball down the field, which is something we do a little bit less at the moment, even though our goals came from that, you see that Konate and Van Dijk are broadly very good at dealing with that. And even when they do run it into the channels, Konate is incredible at sweeping up. I think this was actually probably one of Andy Robertson's best games this season. And I also think that Kelleher is growing into that role week by week, day by day. We're seeing him become a better goalkeeper in what we need him to be. Not only that, but I think he made some Alisson-esque statistical saves. I'm not saying there were saves that Alisson would have made. I'm just saying they were kind of statistically very Alisson-y. Anyway, move on to the second goal, right? Mo Salah, I think Salah was fantastic throughout the game. Personally, I think he was fouled a lot of times, and I think they got away with that. I think in other games, you see maybe a couple more yellow cards for someone like Aston Villa. But the goal that he put them away with, first of all, world-class finish, because there are about 3 or 4 feints in there that put Martinez down. Very satisfying, because I love a goalkeeper being put down like that. And secondly, I think the way that Salah finished it shows he's not just got one kind of finish. He's not just one kind of player. But all 3 of Liverpool's dominant wingers at the moment, that's Gakpo, Diaz, Salah, everyone else I'll consider to be like a central kind of player, are all getting better at finishing. They're all acting more like strikers, and they're all finishing more like strikers, while their strikers are also getting better at their width play. It's the influence of someone like Slot in the adaptability and the movability of those things. Salah's goal, putting the match away, I thought was great. I'm not so sure about the celebration. Maybe don't do that. Maybe do your own celebration, because I like your celebrations more than I like other people's celebrations, but chill. Point is, at that point, Liverpool, I could have almost napped after that point, where it was like, okay, cool, I think we're on the game. I think Villa challenged at multiple points, but I still feel like the dominance in possession, the dominance in winning the ball back, that's why I said Andy Robertson had a good game. I thought Curtis Jones was fantastic in midfield. I think Gravenberch I think there were a couple of moments where you saw the classic Gravenberch moment where it's kind of like, oh, I'm going to have to do the defending here, nipped in. There was a very visible moment of that, but there were also multiple moments where someone's through and they think, I've only got these guys, and then Gravenberch sort of sweeps him from behind, wins the ball back. Him and McAllister are becoming much, much better at that. And there are also multiple times, and I think this is definitely a thing that Liverpool have been training at, they'll win the ball back. So say you're the goal for Villa, right? They'll win the ball back like this, and there's a very quick turn and go, and it happens very fast. Liverpool are getting better at being that kind of quick turnaround team. Now, with Klopp, they had a very high level of intensity. And I think this team were very primed in doing some of these abilities that they currently show under Slot. It's obviously, it's great to have continuity in what your manager brings. And I think broadly, Edwards and Klopp, in their style, were very, aligned and what they were looking for. I think there were just other politics behind the scenes that meant those two probably couldn't work together. Anyway, now what that means is that Liverpool basically have just this run at, hey, like we are actually we're a team that already know how to do a lot of this stuff. You're just telling us there's a bit more structure, or there's a different structure, or the chaos that Klopp used to have. Now we have multiple options. You can see this team is like working out a Rubik's Cube as it goes through the game, and it goes, cool, we don't turn it that way, we turn it this way, and you're going to go that way. It makes Liverpool a very confusing, difficult team to play, and it's incredibly satisfying to watch for us, but also, I'd imagine, for Slot and those guys. Of course, no other manager has had this kind of start like Slot and Liverpool have had. This is the best manager start for any Liverpool manager. This is 15 wins out of 17 matches, one of which was a draw and one of which was a loss to Nottingham Forest. I think that Forest game has acted as somewhat of a catalyst for A, Liverpool's mistakes in acknowledging them and trying to get them out of the game, but B, also moving Liverpool on from some of those early stumbling blocks and stop them from making multiple similar mistakes across multiple games. And that's very satisfying. It's also very satisfying to do that, by the way, in a season where City and Arsenal seem to have made the opposite kind of mistakes and seem to be stumbling in trying to find some of their identity. I'm not saying that Liverpool have fully found it. In fact, we're still so early in the Slot days that, I don't think we have found that yet. But it's still satisfying to know that there is still such a high ceiling to go, and he's only just getting started. This is 17 matches. Most people would call this too small of a sample size, which most people would be right. In fact, all those people that said would be right. Curtis, I thought he looked good in midfield. I think the subs came at just the right time, and Liverpool changed things as they needed to. And Slot's been very good at doing that in a lot of recent games. I think he's really excelled in freshening up the team at the right time, bringing on Endo at just the right moments, locking things down. There was rumours that Endo and Chiesa were both going to leave in January. There are now the opposite kind of rumours that, Endo and Chiesa want to stay, that Liverpool are looking at using them in, they'll end up using them even more and more as the season goes on. So, I don't see why, as Slot is bringing them into his ideas, training them up, we would then just suddenly move them on. And I think it's going to be very instructive today as to what kind of season we're looking at. Say Liverpool are in with the title challenge, I think a lot of people are going to start to change the narrative after that. It will be, I didn't see it initially, but now I totally see it. And actually, they're just sort of being handed this because Arsenal and City are stumbling. There's very little pressure on these guys because look at the gap at the... Let's not get into that. We've got an international break now. Wait for the bad takes. Wait for the, Liverpool so far, had a pretty easy run of it. I've never said they've had an easy run. I've just said we've never been challenged in the way that I would like to see them challenged, or I think then makes me go, oh, right, okay, that's what's really happening here. Those big challenges come after this. Real Madrid are going to be coming back into form, even though, they are literally playing a couple of teams that are a few positions. Well done, he's 14, sort of thing. And then City, we've also got them. They're not going to have one of their main players. They might have a couple of their main players at that point. But, an injured rat or an injured dog, I don't want to call them rats, an injured dog, very often if you go in for the kill on it, say it's in the corner, its legs, little bruised, not broken, it'll bite back. And that's what I'm most cynical of with this City team. Man of the match. I still think Konate's in for man of the match for a lot of these. I feel like he's like really enabling that side. Sad to see Trent go down. Obviously, I don't want to see Trent go down. I don't want to see Trent out for an extended period. Seemed to be relatively quickly acknowledged that he just had an injury. He needed to go off. Slot chatted to him very quick. Trent exchanged a couple of words and he was down the tunnel. Bradley came on. He's not an understudy right now. I think he's actually someone who can start for this Liverpool team. It's very satisfying to have someone who's so willing to sit on the bench, learn, hone his craft, and essentially step up when he's needed. It's nice to have. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. I'd love to know your thoughts on the overall. I think we managed the game very, very well. Again, not the peak of what we need to do this season, but still a very long way to go. If you extrapolate out, I think you need about, we were just saying this in the office, I think you need about 80 to 85 points, because if you look at how many points everyone's dropped so far, but there are still those, I wonder who's going to be the killer run team. By the way, we would be the killer run team if that Forest game hadn't happened. Anyway, wow, imagine how many victories or unbeaten games Liverpool would have if it were, anyway. Appreciate you guys. I will chat to you soon, and I'll see you later on the channel. I'll probably see you on the main channel, actually, after the Arsenal game. Much love. Bye.